Good evening. At this time, I will call the January 5th, 2026 County Council meeting to order, the first meeting of this new year. We welcome everyone here who's come out from the community to be with us here tonight. Our first order of business is that I will recognize the Honorable Tommy Atkins from District 3 for invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for letting us see another year. Dear Lord, I pray for wisdom, guidance, and help us tonight as we go through these proceedings. Lord, be with the downtrodden. And Lord, help everyone tonight and have a safe trip home. Guide us and direct us. Thank you for all your many blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do not have any oath of office tonight, but we do have a very special appearance. At this time, I will recognize Sheriff Breeden to come forward, and we're going to recognize Tamara Hogg for her service and retirement with the York County Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Council. We're here to honor Tamara Hogg, who's retiring after almost 28 years of service in the detention center. And Tamara, you can come on up. There's one thing you and I have talked many, many times over the years. Your impact can't be seen just inside this room, just inside anything else. We always talked about, your life is just a blip on eternity. And even with that 28 years, and that 28 years is a long career in corrections. Most people don't get anywhere close to that. And the 28 years is just a blip on your life. And you can see the group that's back here in uniform and out of uniform, some current, some past. And that doesn't even talk to the number of people that you had an impact on. And that includes me. The amount of times you had to yell at me for different things over the years, things I should and shouldn't be doing. But we are grateful for the 28 years. We are grateful for everything that you've done for us. I've got a whole lot more comments that I'll wait till the party when I can talk about all the crazy stories. But the public, the general public, will never know, one, what we do on a daily basis in the jail, but they will never understand and truly understand the impact that you've had on all of us. So thank you. We love you.
Thank you. Like Chief said, the average person has no idea what it takes to work in a jail. And if you think about it, she essentially did 14 years of her life in jail. And law enforcement is an out of sight, out of mind. And when you look at retirements, and even in this room, you have not seen this kind of representation out of people that have retired. And we have had several retire and this year, but nobody has ever left the sheriff's office that, to most people's eyes, is irreplaceable. And Captain Hogg is that. She is the heart and soul of a detention center. She is the figure that everybody could not live without. And this was one of the hardest things that I've seen, is the prospects of replacing an irreplaceable. And, the impact that she had cannot be stated enough. And like I said, there's been people come in here that had one person, two people, their family, but to see the representation of people on and off duty is a testament to who she is. And nothing that we can do for her tonight is justice to what she has really earned and has meant to this county. And I hope the people of this county can truly understand and realize what she has meant to all of us. And I'll never be able to express to you how grateful I am for you. And all these people feel the same way. Thank you very much. Thank you. And a clock seems insignificant, but thank y'all, Council, for what you do for all of our people to recognize us, and what you continue to do for the Sheriff's Office. We're extremely appreciative of all of you. So.
Captain Hogg, on behalf of the council, while you're getting some photo ops here, on behalf of the council and on behalf of everyone in this room and all of our citizens of York County, we want to say thank you very much for the dedication and service that you have given to our community. It is a job that is a difficult one, but it's one that I've seen you personally when we've gone over and visited the jail that you do with your heart, and you do to serve a community that often is forgotten, and you've done it in such a respectful way, a way that is honorable, and a way that is respectful of all. And we definitely appreciate all your loyalty that you have given to our community. I see you've got your shades on. I hope that's because your future's so bright. You got to wear those shades for something fun. I know it's an emotional time, but we certainly do wish you well in your retirement. Hope that you do something fun. Hope that you do something that is rewarding. And we want to make sure before you leave that we get you and your family up here and get a picture. But there's a classmate of yours that I understand wants to also make a comment, so I'm going to turn that over.
Absolutely. Well. I can go all the way back to elementary school, preschool. We grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same high school. She was an outstanding softball player in high school. Now, working in the detention center probably fits her growing up because she played baseball with the boys. She had older brothers. They were all athletes. Just all around great family that I had the pleasure of growing up with. I wanted to take this time to recognize my classmate and just the things that we've done growing up throughout the years. Very proud of you, and I've had people who had to spend a little time at the detention center, and they've come back and said, whether it was good or bad experience, that you kind of made sure things were above board, on the up and up in the detention center. So I wanted to recognize you publicly as a friend, as a classmate, and I do want to recognize Tamara lost a older brother, I think last week. Her brother was outstanding football player at Northwestern, so I did want to publicly say I do recognize what the family's going through, and we're praying for you. And don't put any batteries in that clock. We don't put any batteries in it because you're not on anybody's clock anymore. You're free to roam and do what you want to do. But if you put batteries in that clock, you're going to have to start back clocking in somewhere.
Yep, you have earned the right to speak, and we certainly want to hear from you.
Absolutely. Well, first I'm going to start off by the shades off for a medical reason. I never knew that my life would transition April of last year with a car accident, leaving me with a traumatic brain injury and light sensitivity that leads to migraines maybe 2-3 times a week. I would have to say that the York County Detention Center Sheriff's Office has had my back. We're not just co-workers, we're family. And they have shown me that family sticks together. We've cried together, we've prayed together, we laughed together. And I don't think people realize what officers do. We're not just people who hold people hostage in a jail until they make bond or go to prison. But we're teachers, we're counselors, we're nurses, we're cleaners. We bathe people who can't bathe themselves to keep them to have their dignity. We love people beyond measure when they come inside of that jail with a godly love. So when they leave there, they'll know that somebody cared about them. We see inmates in a way that most families will never see them. We get them in, we detox them, we care for them, and we see how smart they are, how articulate, how just they have so much love. But life deals some people a bad hand, and by grace and mercy, it could have been us. And my stance every day at the jail was, the only difference between me and you is the color of my uniform. And I work for York County part-time because I work for God full-time. And everything that I do on a daily basis, I want to make sure I please Him first. And if I please Him, I'm going to please the people. I'm going to please the county. I'll please the sheriff. I'll please the chief and everybody who works around me because I'm doing it for God first. So I thank you for this moment, and I'm not going to talk long because they already say I get long-winded, but I just want to say thank you for allowing me to serve York County for the years that I've served York County. It has truly been an honor to me, to my family, and I just can't say thank you enough for this moment.
Thank you
ma'am.
for your incredible service.
Thank you for your service. If we could scoot in for a picture, and if you want to bring as many family members as you want.
Last time I'll take a picture of you.
Everybody ready?
One. Awesome.
Thank you again. What wise words to live by if all of us would take those responsibilities the same. We move now to our public forum session. This is the time in our agenda where we allow individuals to approach council and to speak about issues that are on their mind that are related to county business. I ask that for individuals who have signed up to speak, if you will please, when I call your name, come forward, give your name and address before you start speaking. And if you'll pay attention to the screen, it will let you know when the time is up. Otherwise, I will have to interrupt and stop you. If you'll please keep your comments to matters that are germane to council business and refrain from questions or personal attacks because the council does not have an opportunity to respond back. We're here simply to listen. I do see that there are a number of items on here. CILFAB is one of them. I say this every time we have someone sign up that CILFAB is currently in litigation. That matter is being handled by the attorneys. So our first item is, our first individual who signed up is Ashley Horn.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ashley Horn, and I live in Regent Park, less than a mile from CILFAB. I'd like to start off by asking anyone who supports moving CILFAB to an appropriately zoned location to please stand. I'm here tonight because a health assessment conducted by the University of South Carolina Arnold School of Public Health examined what happens to people if there is an accident chemical release at the CILFAB facility. The researchers evaluated 5 chemicals planned for use and storage in large quantities: anhydrous ammonia, xylene, nitrous oxide, hydrochloric acid, and hydrofluoric acid. Using federally recognized Aloha emergency modeling, the same tool used by the fire departments and emergency planners nationwide, they found that in multiple scenarios, toxic concentrations capable of causing life-threatening or irreversible injury can form and travel miles from CILFAB. The critical issue identified in the report is time. Dangerous conditions can develop within minutes and in some cases within seconds of release. Children do not have minutes. They have no warning, no protective equipment, and no ability to self-evacuate. USC confirms that these releases scenarios are credible and foreseeable based on normal industrial operations and failure conditions. These health risks were never evaluated during permitting. That gap is now filled. And because documented health risk is what triggers government authority, how exposure unfolds in real time matters. That is why response time and irreversible harm are central to this discussion, and why these findings are especially concerning for Flint Hill schools and surrounding communities. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. John Worth.
Good evening. My name is John Worth. I live less than 1 mile from Silfab on Amberley Crossing in Bailiwick. The USC Health Risk Assessment explains how people are harmed by exposure to Silfab's chemicals and why those scenarios are realistic. Silfab will store and use large quantities of these highly hazardous chemicals. Anhydrous ammonia creates immediate dangerous conditions that can extend more than 2 miles from the site. Silane will ignite upon contact with air and instantly cause overlapping toxic fire and blast zones. Hydrofluoric acid causes deep tissue injury with fatal outcomes that are delayed with children at the greatest risk. The key issue here is response time. Under ideal conditions, fire and hazmat response is measured in minutes. Nowhere can emergency teams arrive in seconds. During those minutes, a chemical cloud will not wait. It will move with the wind. Exposure begins immediately and spreads across an increasing area. The modeling did not include cascading failures, chemical interactions, transportation accidents, or malicious acts. Scenarios used, therefore, are not worst case. Flint Hill will place more than 1,500 students near the facility. Homes, healthcare facilities, senior living centers, and I-77 are all within the exposure zone. Exposure begins long before responders arrive. Once exposure occurs, no permit can undo it, no response team can reverse the damage, no legal process can unexpose a child. When exposure begins in seconds, authority delayed is authority denied. That is why the law, as confirmed by the South Carolina Attorney General, clearly gives this council police power authority to act. Silfab knows the risk. You know the risk. It's time to act.
Thank you, sir. Brandon Langford.
Good evening, council members. My name is Brandon Langford. I live in Halts Creek Parkway in Fort Mill, and I'm here tonight to address one document that fundamentally changes the narrative you've been given. The July 14, 2025 letter from the South Carolina Attorney General. For months, council has been told through staff statements and an official county news release that you lack authority to revoke Silfab's permits and that your hands are tied. That statement was false. The Attorney General makes this clear. Zoning is a legislative function. Protecting public health and safety is a paramount concern, and County Council retains police power authority to act when a permitted use threatens health, safety, or welfare. The letter explicitly states that reliance on previously issued permits does not override your authority to act. There is no absolute vested right in a permit when credible safety risks exist. Yet the May 27 county news release told the public that council has no power to revoke permits and that asking you to act is not viable. That directly conflicts with the Attorney General's legal analysis and South Carolina case law. This council has been misled. This matters because the Board of Zoning Appeals issued a 5-0 unanimous ruling that this use does not belong in a light industrial zone. Staff ignored that ruling. Permits continue to be issued anyway. Now, independent health and engineering analysis confirm that this facility presents real risks, especially given its proximity to schools and neighborhoods. The Attorney General has made your authority clear. The final question is not whether you can act, it's whether you will now enforce the BZA ruling and direct staff to comply with the law.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Frank Jernick.
Council members, my name is Frank Jernick. I live at 2591 Lower Assembly Road in Fort Mill. I'm here tonight to speak about this council's responsibility to enforce zoning ordinances. The BZA has now formally affirmed its May 2024 unanimous ruling that this type of solar manufacture is not permitted in a light industrial zoning district. That ruling explicitly names Silfab. BCA is defending its decision in court because zoning enforcement matters and the rule of law matters. The existence of litigation does not suspend this council's duty to enforce zoning ordinances. Courts decide appeals. Councils enforce laws. Those laws are separate under South Carolina law. South Carolina code requires zoning compliance before permits are issued. In this case, zoning compliance was never applied for and never granted. Instead, staff relied on a zoning verification letter. Verification is not compliance. It does not satisfy the statute. The BCA has ruled unanimously that the proposed use was not permitted. Under the county code, that ruling is binding on staff unless overturned by a court. Staff does not have the authority to ignore it, reinterpret it, or work around it. County code is also clear. A certificate of occupancy cannot be issued without final zoning compliance approval. That approval has never occurred. The health risks are now documented. The Attorney General has confirmed your authority. The BCA has ruled. The law is clear. The risk is real. Enforcement is now your responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chris Thompson.
I may interrupt. We have some materials carefully created for y'all. Can I pass them to the clerk?
If you give them to the clerk.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Is Chris Thompson? Okay.
Hi, and good evening, and Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Chris Thompson. I live at 345 Vander Lakes Drive in York. I am a District 2 resident, and I'm speaking on behalf of other District 2 residents who are extremely concerned about the data center that's going in at Highway 274 and Campbell Road, and with proposed expansions over onto Parham. You have before you a packet of questions and concerns that we have prepared to see if you can enlighten us about this a little bit and maybe ease our concerns. So I won't take any more time. I just want you to know that we are very concerned. We want to hear from you. We hope that you can get us answers before the QTS meet and greet that was announced in a flyer we got in the mail. It comes around in February. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. One thing I neglected to talk about before I started with the open sheet is that when we have public hearing items on an agenda, we ask that folks wait who are signed up to speak on a public hearing item to speak in the public hearing when that comes up. The reason for that is we want to make sure that your comments are connected to the item that is related to that, and sometimes that gets confused. If there's someone, when I call your name and you have, and you're here for a public hearing item, again, we ask that you wait for that public hearing item to speak. If you have to leave and you cannot speak at that point in time, then certainly I'll give the 2 minutes for that. But we asked, I think that we'll be able to move through these fairly quickly. So I asked that if you're one of those, that you consider that. Nancy Manning, that was for a zoning matter. Can you wait for the public hearing item to come forward? Okay. Wade Ferry, it's for a zoning matter as well, which is on the, can you wait for the, okay. Scott Kokenauer.
Hey everybody, Scott Kokenauer, 122 West Oak Street in beautiful Whiteville Park neighborhood in downtown Fort Mill. Hey, speaking of Fort Mill, we are wrapping up our comp plan, so that's going to wrap up here in the next few weeks. So we'll be presenting that to everyone. So included in that will be our downtown district overlay. Great things happening in downtown Fort Mill. We can produce some of the things that come off of that, and then our Parks and Rec long-range plan will be presented too. So anyway, those are coming up for us to look at. Hey, on consent agenda, item number 8, as far as the LSV's golf carts. I'm a proud owner of a golf cart and an LSV. I love taking my grandkids on it, and I get back and forth to the golf course and around town. So I am in favor of extending the hours of operations of that. I live in District 1 downtown. If I want to go to the river, I do cross under 77. I go into Mason's Bend and take my grand dog down to the river. We walk there. So I know at the one meeting there was talk about only being able to cross at a stoplight. For me to get to Mason's Bend correctly, I would need to go through a traffic circle or cross Sutton Road at Sutton Mill and Sutton View to get back in the neighborhood. So if we're going to do that, I would like an opportunity to look at not allowing it just to cross at stoplights. Also on the rental property in the orchards, so to get to the dog park at Carolina Orchards, you got to go into the traffic circle, down York Southern, down Hammond to get to the dog park. So that's another reason why crossing roads at just traffic lights in that situation wouldn't work also. So anyway, just as we're looking at this, I think it's a great opportunity for us to introduce that to the county and everything. So thank you for your time. Have a great week.
Thank you, sir. Claude Burns, can you wait for the public hearing? Thank you, sir. Florence Green, looks like that person signed up for the detention center, so I think they were here. All right, that concludes our public forum portion of the agenda. My understanding is as we move to the consent agenda that one individual on the council has requested that item number 8 be removed from consent, which is allowed. That item will now go as number 3 in new business. Are there any other removals from the agenda? All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, consent agenda as amended is approved. We move now to our first public hearing item. This is a rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading case number 25-49, tax map number 670000059 and 60 to rezone from UD to RMX 6.34 acres in District 4.
Good evening, Council. Tom Snoon, Long Range Planner. Excuse my voice, I'm still recovering from a bit of a cold. But this is case 2549, looking to rezone from urban development to RMX 6. Each of the parcels are about 9,000 square feet on Ridley Street in Rock Hill. This area of Rock Hill specifically is just south of Highway 21 and west of I-77. So the applicant is proposing to build single-family detached homes on each parcel. There's currently one derelict building on the central parcel there. You can see the zoning, mostly urban development with some touches of residential single-family 30. And the featured land use reflects municipal infill. So we like to defer to see what Rock Hill expects, and they're expecting interstate employment. It's kind of equivalent to our I-77 corridor employment district. So while the residences are not consistent with that expectation, staff recommends approval as we see the subject properties are within an existing residential neighborhood. The active UD zone is completely incompatible with that neighborhood, and RMX 6 is actually the only residential district that can accommodate the lots of this size, given that they're about 9,000 square feet. By unanimous vote, Planning Commission recommends approval. Any questions for staff?
Any questions for staff before we open the public hearing? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against this request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor?
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a quick question.
Ms. Roddy?
Did the applicant have to pay to do this rezoning? Because I know there was a while back we voluntarily did rezonings out of UD. I saw Jonathan shaking his head.
Yes, the fee is waived for rezoning out of urban development.
All right, thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Move now to our second public hearing, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading, case number 25-51, tax map number 395000010 and 11, zoning request to rezone from RSF 40 and NC to GC 2.55 acres in District 3.
Yeah, so the applicant is seeking to rezone. This is a combination of RCF 40 and neighborhood commercial, expecting to go to GC. This area is very much defined by the major thoroughfare here, just south outside of the city of York, where we kind of have the confluence of Old York Highway and Alexander Love. So the applicant proposes to build a parking lot that's an accessory use to the adjoining automobile dealership you can see just to the north in the aerial. It currently has residences and kind of associated residential structures with 3 residential access points directly onto the highway. Zoning, we can see that a lot of commercial zones in this area, with this kind of being the last vestigial elements of RCF 40 here. Given that this is rezoning to a commercial non-residential district, you do expect type C buffers to keep this the boundary between this commercial zone and the remaining residential zones. Now, future land use has this as a traditional area, so we're kind of expecting these residential structures to be repurposed for office, institutional, and smaller scale commercial development. Given that it's not directly consistent with the comp plan, given automobile dealership is quite large scale commercial development, but we recommend approval as it will allow the expansion of that business naturally. The other commercial uses in the general vicinity facilitate it, and it will remove these residential access points on Alexander Love Highway. A unanimous vote, Planning Commission and staff agree to approve.
Any questions for staff?
Nope.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against this request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor?
Move to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Move now, do we have a new motion?
Motion to approve. Sorry. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We move now to our third public hearing item, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading, case number 25-52, tax map parcel 73800000046, to rezone from RMX 10 to RUD, 20.18 acres in District 7.
Yeah, so this property is very large, about 20 acres, just outside of the jurisdiction of Fort Mill on the east side. The applicant proposes to divide the space into a major subdivision of single-family homes that will be characteristically rural residential, about 1 to 2 acres each. Zoning, we can see this actually abuts another rural residential space, and you can see that there are some residential, more intense developments along Fort Mill Parkway. Future land use reflects this. Again, we see that density reflected in the neighborhood residential designation closer to the highway, and single-family residential as you come apart. Staff recommends approval, and while this is not directly consistent, given this is actually less intense than expected within single-family residential designation, we see that the neighbors of the other properties are also zoned RUD, and by unanimous vote, Planning Commission recommends approval.
Any questions for staff? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against this rezoning? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor?
Hey everybody, Scott Coconut, 122 West Oak Street, beautiful Whiteville Park neighborhood, downtown Fort Mill. Hey, this is a great thing as far as we can get rooftops, but lessen the density. This is a great thing for the Fort Mill area. Fort Mill School District allows family owners to sell their property, which they have the right to in the state of South Carolina. So I'm all in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion closed.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Move now to our fourth and final public hearing. Rezoning action, hold a public hearing and consider first reading case number 25-53, tax map number 51400000077, to rezone from AGC to RUD, 5.89 acres in District 5.
Yeah, so this parcel is just beyond the Ogden Road Highway 324 intersection. Unfortunately, when I drew up this map, I kind of hid it under the key map in the top right corner. This is about 6 acres, looking to be subdivided into about 3 homes. The applicant suggested 2 or 3. The idea being that with 3 roads abutting it, Mobley Store, Lark Lane, and on the bottom Englewood Road, there would be 3 separate private residential access points. In the zoning, we could see this is kind of on the edge of agriculture, conservation, and rural development. This property does abut a RUD property to the north. And future land use shows that pretty closely. Again, kind of right at the edge of agriculture and rural residential. We've seen that rural residential designation kind of creep south as the road networks kind of become more dense and more access points are generated, kind of facilitating, again, that more residential feel to the space. Just for some context to this subdivision, these highlighted in blue are some other parcels that are between 1 and 2 parcels, or 1 and 2 acres in size. And you can see in red is kind of an estimated subdivision that would, again, have those 3 separate private access points and give us 3 parcels that are about 2 acres in size. So while this is not consistent with the comp plan future land use map, again, that rural residential space is still kind of to the northeast near the intersection. We do recommend approval as we see this, that rural residential space continue to organically follow the road down south. The neighbors of the other properties are zoned RUD, and the subject parcel, again, has that road frontage on 3 separate access points. So by unanimous vote, Planning Commission recommended approval.
This is my district. I do have some questions. These are questions that I've already asked and addressed with staff. My understanding is that this was a 28-acre parcel that was intact just a couple of years ago, and that it was divided into 4 5+ acre parcels. All of that's in the AGC area. That was done within the last couple of years. It's purchased by a developer and sold off, and I think that it looks like it was purchased for about $400,000, and it was divided up into 4. 3 of the 5+ acres was sold off to the tune of $1.2 million, and now the developer wants to do 3 homes. Is that accurate?
Yes, so recent parcel history. The most recent plat we have on file is from March of 2025, and like you said, it was dividing up this space here. This was tract 1, tract 2, 3, and 4. Given that subdivision was so recent, they're still beholden to, if they were to divide this tract 1 any more than 3 times, it would then be considered a major subdivision. But however, 6 is the threshold, and so 3 would be the maximum. Otherwise, again, they would have to go through the preliminary plat, final plat, and civil construction plan procedures back to Planning Commission for it to be approved.
Any other questions for staff before we move for the public hearing?
Yeah, so looking at this, can you go back to the map you had up prior to the, no, one with the colors on, okay. So when you look at this thing, it's pretty much surrounded by ACG, or AGC, correct, at this point?
Except for right at Lark Lane where it abuts an RUD property.
So you've got, and it's a, when I look at this, and again, I've had concerns that have come out of that area in regards to this section and where it is located. And again, I have some major concerns about moving forward with something along the line, especially when you look at the surrounding and what is surrounding this property. I think it brings concerns to mind. So I appreciate you showing this. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Thomas. Thomas, can you go to Exhibit B, the 1035, 2035 map, please?
What are you looking for?
That one, yeah. So my question is, I guess in 2022, when council drafted a land use map, they were hoping that the area shaded in green above this piece of property would still be AGC. Is that right? I guess?
Yes, fundamentally, we see it as a guide.
Okay.
Since 2022, though, how then, if you'll flip to Exhibit A, please, how then did this property change from AGC to RUD?
Well, just through natural processes of zoning and rezoning. Again, when we generate the future land use map, it is kind of to assess expectations, but we also use it as a guide. You can even see in the map here the where the future land use line is drawn. While it's not arbitrary, it doesn't follow any of the parcel lines. It is just supposed to help inform us as to where the expectation will lie. And the generative growth as this goes on, it's very likely that in a future land use plan, we'll actually see that rural residential space continue to climb down south past these properties.
So whatever properties touched RUD likely came before council and they were rezoned. So all that was rezoned coming down to this property to create RUD touching the parcel that's requesting to be rezoned from AGC to RUD?
I can't confirm or deny that. It's possible they pre-existed like that. Maybe Jonathan might know some deeper history there.
Yeah, I don't know the specific parcel history for all the properties in that vicinity that are RUD, but to Thomas's point, a lot of that could have been the original zoning, but when you've got the comprehensive plan, future land use designations, and the zoning districts, there's not a one-for-one. They're broad-based categories in the comp plan as future expectations for land.
So there could have been a possibility that, going back to Exhibit B, that when it was drafted, there were individuals hoping maybe the RUD would turn into AGC moving forward if they were RUD?
Yeah, so, all of the land use designations, they're, what the aspirations for future land uses might be. Sometimes that's one-for-one with what's already there. There's not an expectation that anything's going to change, but sometimes there is an expectation that something is going to, in most cases, develop into something more dense, but there can be instances, and this area seems to be one of them, where there's a hope that agricultural might expand versus rural residential doesn't.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I have a quick question. I don't know who can answer. So what was the original parcel size? I know you mentioned
28 acres.
28? And how many times has it been split so far since 2022?
Just the once into these 4 tracks that you see.
And those were about 5 to 6 acres per tract?
I don't have the exact numbers, but that's probably about right.
And if you go back to the previous slide, it looks like the shaded area, yeah. So apparently, something changed for that color to change to, the rural?
RUD.
Yeah, RUD, to come down.
Well, that's not, I do want to make sure we're speaking apples to apples. Just because it's light green does not mean it's RUD. In fact, all of that is surrounded by AGC. I mean, isn't that right?
Right.
I think we're
So
confusing the light green.
It didn't necessarily have to be rezoned.
No, and it
just
didn't
kinda like-
happen. It's in fact not, it's not RUD, it's AGC. Even the light green is AGC.
And so do we have a problem with, I mean, I know we've had conversations up here about whether it's family members, but we know this is not a family member situation, splitting the acres up. So is there a problem with, is there a reservation of not allowing them to split it down to more home use?
I think that's probably debate. If we have any
Okay,
more
okay.
questions for staff, then we can get into the debate, but.
I've got one.
Yeah, I'm good.
I just have one question. Is Angelwood and Lark, are those private roads?
No, those are not private roads.
Those are not private. Okay.
I guess a clarifying question then, based off your question, if you'll go back to Exhibit A. So are we saying the light green is not rural development, RUD?
So the zoning district is hopefully more close to the active reality on the ground right now. So everything that you see in light green on this map is currently zoned RUD. Right.
So the piece of property touching this piece of property is
Is
RUD?
RUD.
That's right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Just want to make sure.
Because the color didn't show that on the other map.
Well, because that was the 2035 map.
Any other questions for staff?
Okay.
No, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Thomas.
All right, is there anyone here who wishes to speak against this rezoning? If you'll come forward and give your name and address.
Council members, thank you for the opportunity to appear and speak before you. My name is Ken Scoggins. I am a resident of 750 Englewood Road. I have been in this, at 750 Angle Road and a piece of property just on the other side of Mobley Store Road for the past 60 years. That's where I was born and raised. Been a county resident for 60 years. I'm also a proud county employee as well. I live directly beside the property under consideration. If you look at the red borders on the property, I am the property immediately to the left that comes to a point there at the road. I'm here to firmly oppose the request to rezone this parcel from agricultural to rural development. This is not a small adjustment. It represents a meaningful increase in density and a shift in land use that is completely out of character with the surrounding area. Every property around this parcel is agricultural or very low density rural. Allowing a single 6-acre tract to move to a higher density classification would create a classic case of spot rezoning. It benefits one landowner at the direct expense of the surrounding community and undermines the county's long-term land use plan. Should the board approve rezoning, you are approving the full range of development allowed under the zoning category, not the applicant's verbal intentions. Once the zoning changes, the county cannot enforce statements like, "I only want 2 or 3 houses." Those comments have no legal weight. The owner can sell the land the next day and a developer can build anything that RUD zoning permits. You're approving the zoning, not the story being told about it. This kind of zoning change brings real consequences. Even a few additional homes increase traffic on a road that was never built for it. And there are children in the area who walk, play, and ride bikes. Safety is a legitimate concern. There is no community water system here, meaning any new homes would require individual wells, which raises questions about water availability and long-term sustainability. Being Blackjack, the soil conditions are uncertain, and it is not clear that this land will even perk for traditional septic systems. That means engineered septic systems may be required, which can fail, overflow, or create runoff issues that affect neighboring properties. Council, I'll also add, immediately in front of my property and across Mobley Store Road, there is a creek that runs through a cotton field. And on down the road, and any time we have a serious bad weather, a lot of rain, that entire area floods, and floods to the point that either the county or the highway department, whoever does it, comes down there and puts up barricades to divert traffic in either direction because you simply cannot go down the blacktop road in front of my property. More houses also mean more noise, more lighting, more impervious surface area, and more runoff, all of which can create drainage problems for adjacent landowners. And let's be honest, increasing density beside established rural homes has a direct negative impact on property values. I want to be clear. The neighbors and I prefer the land remaining exactly as it is. We value the rural character, the open space, and the safety of this area. What we oppose is any rezoning that opens the door to more houses, more traffic, more wells, more septic systems, and more long-term impacts than this land and this community can reasonably support. This board has a responsibility to protect the integrity of the community and to avoid setting a precedent that encourages more parcels to seek higher density zoning in rural areas. Approving this request would send the message that any landowner can carve out a denser development whenever they choose, regardless of the impact on neighbors. I respectfully ask the board, the council, to deny this zoner request and preserve the rural character, safety, property values, and long-term planning vision of this community. Council, I beg you, don't let development come in and decimate an area that I've lived in for the past 60 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak against? If you'll just come forward as soon as, if you want to speak, if you'll just be prepared to stand up when the other speaker is done.
Thank you. My name is James Kearns. My wife and I live on Anglewood Road, which borders the property that's been asked to rezone. I've lived in this area all my life, within 5 miles of this property. We bought in that area because of what the county rules said. We wanted that 5-acre agriculture development type lifestyle, so we bought 10 acres. And we oppose having this 5 acres split up. I know the gentleman has said on his packet that we got from the county that he would want to build 2, maybe 3 houses. But that's only an intention. That intention is not valid once it's approved, and it can't be reversed. And it could be possibly 6 homes. If you're not familiar with some of you are, there's water standing in the fields 2 weeks after a rain in the Blackjacks. To put multiple homes on a small area that already has poor drainage that's designed to plant cotton and corn, it can stand 1 house. But to put the possibility of 5 homes, I have no degrees as far as environmental. I only have common sense that the impact that many homes on a small parcel of Blackjack land would be an injustice to the people that's going to buy in advance. They would be punished before they ever bought the property. So I respectfully ask that for the integrity of the rural community, is why we bought there. And in addition to that, if there's any indication that we're trying to preserve that, there's a home being built on 10 acres immediately across that was part of that property. So if there's any indication that we're trying to preserve the rural integrity, that's there. That's happening. And to punish these people that's trying to help with that is not fair. So respectfully ask that it not be allowed and that we can continue. And whoever wants that property can build a home on 5 acres. And it seems to me in closing that those that are trying to explain to us, they don't have much idea what we're looking at. So please, give it careful consideration, because the long-term effects and on our health, possibility, environmentally, in addition to our property value. We abided by the rules that the county set. We wanted it that way. And we were told, although verbal, that long-term would be the preservation of the agriculture community. And that's what we strive to do. So thank you for your time.
Hey, good evening. My name is Wade Ferry, and I live at 4151 Booney Road, less than 2 miles from this location. When I first saw the zoning of this, I thought, it's not right next to me, it's less than 2 miles from me, and why do I care as much? I've had so many neighbors that have called me and asked me to please come up here and speak in front of this group, and to let you know that it is zoned agricultural for a reason. It needs to remain where 1 house can be built on a 5-acre lot. It's already been split into 4 lots. And I think you've already heard enough arguments from the two other neighbors that live directly beside it, why this is such an important decision. But it's become more and more obvious to me the more that I have had people calling and telling me, please go and make sure this honorable group knows. So I respectfully am requesting that you also vote no and oppose this. It must remain agricultural. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Caden Schornfuss. I'm a direct neighbor of the property up for rezoning. Englewood Road and Lark Lane both are a connected gravel one-lane loop off of Mobley Store Road, but are specified as a public road. This raises concern for me as this gravel public drive is under 15 foot from my home. I have many dogs, farm animals, and a 5-month-old son who will sooner than later be running around outside. This rezoning proposal would cause much more traffic directly past my front steps via delivery services, contractors, and new owner traffic. This draws concern to my animals, the sustainability and ease of use of said one-lane road, and of course my family. This parcel has been broken into 4 plots over the time period of a year or so. Rezoning this plot to residential means up to 5 new homes on 1-acre lots. Even if the proposed 2 lots were approved, they are subject to being further divided based on the RUD1 zoning district. This blackjack dirt does not perk, raising another concern of well and engineered septic spacing issues. Will the land even be able to withstand the demand? I'm not here to step on any toes, but we have seen what happens when deep pockets get a hold of big tracts of land in the community. They're chewed up and spit out for nothing more than a green dollar profit, with no concern for tax-paying neighbors and citizens, history, farming, wildlife, as well as ways of life. We see it all too often, beautiful properties swarmed by developers and corporations, causing an influx of overpopulation, traffic, and hardly a tree left standing. Rock Hill will one day become that if we do not hold the line on currently registered AGC districts. My vote is the strongest no on the matter, and many others hold the same similar values. We shall keep and preserve the county, not only for future generations, but for the better of our city. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dan Scoggins. I worked for county for 27 years. I was a commercial residential building inspector for 20 years. And most of this all been covered for them, but I live 2 miles on the other end of Ogden Road from this property. And I'm explaining to you about the blackjacks. That's what this land is, all blackjack. And what that means, you got about 12 inches of dirt sitting on top of what they call bull tallow, which is clay. And when it rains, the water has nowhere to go. Like they say, it just sits there. And what runs off floods the creek. You cannot use the road. And it's the same problem. It's about the density of the houses. They have the same problem on Bridgewater. They got this, I think it's annexed into the city, but they have these lots and they have to dig out bad dirt, haul in more dirt just to build a house. They have to have, and another property on Millen Road, I think somebody told me one fella had to pay $60,000 for an engineered septic system. And he dug a basement and it floods. He can't use his basement. He can't do anything with the basement for the floods. So if whatever you want to do, but I'm telling you that's the perfect place for one house. Because once you put a bunch of houses in there, there's nowhere for that water to go but just sit there. That land is flat. If anybody knows, I know some people in here know exactly what I'm talking about. That land is just flat as a pancake, and the water just sits there. So, and that's all I have to say about it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. My name is Matthew Pierpoint. I live at 3915 Mobley Store Road, right next to Mr. Kearns, actually. We have 25 acres. I can just tell you about the construction because we built our house 8 years ago. It did require a 3-tank engineered septic system with a drainage field. It's huge. It costs about $30,000 to do because that land does not perk. We also built a horse barn on that property as well. That barn had 32 piers that went 6 feet deep, that were 32 inches wide because of the soil problems that are there. What happens is that blackjack soil is a high plasticity soil. It shrinks and contracts throughout the year. And so if you're on it in the summertime, you will see there's 3-inch cracks all the way through it. It's hard. But in the wintertime, I've gotten a dump truck stuck up to the axles in it. So what we've had to do for our house is we had to dig 3 feet deep down to basically hard rock bed and had to reinforce it with rebar and concrete just to get it so it wouldn't crack. The problem with subdividing it even more is that I know there's restrictions about where a well has to go with the septic system because we've already gone through it. You're going to be pushing the limits of being able to do that and have enough space. It's pretty horrible to build on. I've done it. We've spent probably a couple $100,000 in expenses because we found a piece of property that we never want to move from. And it's going to be pretty horrible if the construction people do not understand that soil. I'm from Virginia. I didn't understand it until I moved there. We have 1,000 feet of driveway. That driveway is 3.5 foot deep with geotech fabric and 2 types of crusher run rock, just so that we could get emergency vehicles on there, which I'm also a York County firefighter, so understand how that has to happen. So probably not a great deal, great piece of property for a one family house. You will have plenty of room for maybe one, but I'm telling you, you're going to have some issues, especially when they go for permitting, about even being able to do more than one. So, thanks.
Good afternoon, or well, good evening. My name is Jonathan Nazir. This entire parcel was a part of my family's parcel. Through heirs property, it got sold. My family and I were able to obtain roughly about 13 acres, which is the 4th tract that's there. And we're already going through some of the preliminary work. And as the gentleman alluded to, he's right, that blackjack is going to cost us a considerable amount when we try to build one single home. We are farming on the land right now. My uncle owns the property just to if that the actual plot line coming down off of Lark Road. He owns that land. The family still owns that land to the right of that. We purchased land because we wanted for it to continue to be agricultural land. We purchased it for the fact that we wouldn't be on top of other folks and have a bit of privacy as well as some distance from our neighbors. And so I, on behalf of my family, we would oppose this being approved for anything other than what it currently stands as. So thank you for your time.
Hello, I'm Nancy Manning. I live at 4078 Booney Road. Thank you very much for this opportunity to provide comment. I have a PowerPoint. If you'll go to the next slide, please. Oh, I have a oh, this is awesome. Okay. I know y'all had questions about the history of the property purchase, so I kind of put this together because when I heard that it was being zoned, requesting to zone it to 3 houses on 5 acres, it piqued my interest. So the history shows in October of 2024, the property was purchased, 28 acres divided into 4 tracts. It was purchased by JD Renovations LLC, and they kept one of those tracts, which they're asking to be divided into the 3. I got into the York County ordinances, the amendment of November 2019. The thing that really interested me with that was this would be considered, I would think, a minor subdivision because we have a parent parcel of 28 acres. We divided it into 4. This, I would think that would be defined as a minor subdivision. which says that once you have divided it, the parent parcel, you cannot re-subdivide it into another minor subdivision. With that, there's two exceptions, a family exemption, which this would not be the case, or it can be divided into a minimum of 5 acres, which that's not the case here as well. This is also not consistent with the York County Comprehensive Future Land Use Plan. I noticed that the Planning Commission mentioned Ogden Road quite a bit in their report. Ogden Road is RUD. It transitions, as y'all saw on the map, to Mobley Store, which is agricultural zoning. They also mentioned that the property, there's only one property that's RUD. That's that one to the left that you all saw, that upper left. That's 42 acres. It was my understanding, and they mentioned that that was a family exemption. That's how, so that would not apply in this case as well. There's no family exemption here. People have already talked about the surrounding area. These are some of the rezoning cases that have happened in District 5 for residential. None of them have asked anything within what this is asking. This is asking for less than 2 acres. The least one I saw was 4.84 acres, and that was part of, for one house, and that was part of a 9.84 parcel, 5 acres for one house, 4.84 for another. And so with that in mind, I would request that you all not approve, because it's not consistent with the ordinance, not consistent with the future planning, and I really am concerned about the precedent that it would set if you did pass it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor?
I'm the unlucky person that gets to stand up here and do this with these people behind me, but I do agree. I understand what they're saying, and all you can do is take me for my word. I have lived in Rock Hill, grow a family here. I'm the one that purchased through JD Renovations, purchased all the land. Our intentions are to do 2 houses. I know they're wanting us to do 1 house, which everyone said, but 1 extra house, the roads would come right off of Lark, the driveways would come right off of Lark Lane. I don't see any deal with it. I understand that it meets the minimums. We're willing to work with anybody we need to work with. And when you look at the plot, I could be incorrect with this, but I believe I'm right, but if you look at the plot, the land to the left is sitting on 2 acres. It's a 2-acre tract that, from my understanding, was grandfathered in to agriculture. So if I remember correctly, that's a 2-acre tract. So all I'm trying to do in the same section is just duplicate what's already there. Listen, I live here, I deal with one of these homeowners, that's sell to him, so I'm not trying to make enemies, but I will tell you, this is what we're just trying to do. We're just trying to make it like area. We build houses, we understand what we're getting into with blackjack, and it's not anything we're scared of. We deal with it. Houses are already built in this area on the blackjack. So I'm not doing anything different, not putting big houses, not trying to lessen anything. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Motion to deny.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll start off. Again, this has been a good discussion tonight, and this is critical. Everybody comes out, and we appreciate everybody's feedback. Looking at this, there was a concern about looking at what was existing and looking at what we identify as spot zoning. You've got a rural area, you've got an area that is ag. People have moved out there, and I think that this, to me, would be considered spot zoning. So I want to make sure we're preserving what we can preserve. And I think it keeps it from within what we estimate as we look at as the boundary lines of our AGC. So again, I'm not supporting it, obviously, with the denial. And again, building on Blackjack property, again, we've seen a lot of concerns that we've run into from a county perspective. So it can be very much very problematic. Let me just put it that way. So those are my reasons for denying it tonight. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Roddy?
I made a few notes as the speakers were getting up about some concerns, whether it's traffic, home values. Spot zoning jumped out. And the first thing in my mind, this is not spot zoning because it's contiguous with the zoning right next to it. Am I correct? From planning, county attorney, would this be spot zoning if we change the zoning? Well, I'll defer to planning staff. Would this be spot zoning? Could you?
So, in alignment with the county attorney's statement, spot zoning is a judicial decision, so someone would have to challenge a legislative zoning action made by county council, and a court would have to hold that it is indeed spot zoning. So without a court judgment, we wouldn't be able to definitively say if it's zoning, spot zoning or not. But we typically refer to the three legs that courts have leaned on when they consider these cases. One is it contiguous or part of the district that's being requested, as you pointed out. Second is it in alignment with the comprehensive plan? And the third being, is it exclusively beneficial to the property owner that owns that property? And typically, the courts look for all three of those things to be true.
So it is contiguous with that zoning that they're asking for?
Yeah, so as a lot of the folks have pointed out, the vast majority of the parcel edge is bordered against AGC, like the current zoning, but there is a small portion of it that is adjacent to RUD as well.
Okay. And thank you. And the reason why I wanted to clarify that, because, you know, people throw those terms out when they don't really know the legal background part of it. And when people throw spot zoning at this council gets nervous because we don't want to do anything to get us in trouble or do anything wrong. I just wanted to clarify that point to say it would not be spot zoning, so that's not a legitimate reason for this council to say it's spot zoning, we're not going to approve it. There may be some other reasons why somebody may not vote for it, but it's not spot zoning. Just want to make that clear to everybody listening or has a concern about it. The next thing that I was kind of under the impression as the different speakers were getting up to say that the person was wanting to do 3 homes up to 6 homes. And my question to staff again, is there any deed restrictions that require 5 acres in this general area? Because I know we've done rezonings and citizens have come and said, hey, we have a deed restriction that all property must be 5 acres. So if you break it down to anything less than that, that's a problem. So are there any covenants, deed restrictions that says this can't be rezoned down to less than the 5 acre tract?
The deed restrictions are recorded with the Register of Deeds. They're not publicly mapped. So we'd have to do extensive parcel research, parcel by parcel, in a defined area of interest to discover if there are any deed restrictions that are along the lines of what you're describing. But we're happy to do that if you're interested.
Okay. And the next thing that I wanted to kind of highlight was that if we're going from 1 home to 5 homes, that's a density issue. But if we're going from 1 home to 2 homes, which the applicant clearly said that's his intention, that could be put in writing that it can't be subdivided anymore, because we've done that when the applicant have expressed a genuine concern that addresses the neighbor's concerns. If the neighbors are saying they want to put 5 homes, the applicant says, I'm only looking to do 2 homes, we can put that in writing to say it can't be subdivided anymore, only 2 homes can go there. Whether council wants to go that route, I'm just throwing out the different options that we've done in the past to address the concerns of the surrounding citizens and neighbors, as well as what the applicant is asking for, because I would hate to be the applicant and someone says, oh, Bump wants to put 5 homes up there. I'm like, wait a minute, I only want to put 2. If we're going to deny it, let's deny it based on the facts of what the applicant said. There's an avenue to put in writing, only 2 homes can be put there. And I don't think that's a density issue when you're going from 1 home to 2 homes. 1 home to 4 or 5 homes, that's a different issue. So if we're gonna deny something, let's make sure we're denying it on the facts and be fair to the applicant who's genuinely said, stood in front of us. And if he's willing to put it in writing as a deed restriction, we've done deed restrictions in conditions to say only 2 homes can go there. I don't know if that'll satisfy the neighbors, but I'm just wanting to put the facts out, how we've done things in the past. I want to make sure, I'm here to make sure the facts are out, that we're fair to anybody that stands up there in front of us, because I would hate to be an applicant and something gets denied based on something that wasn't true. It doesn't mean this council's gonna go for it, but I want the general public to know we've done these type rezonings in the past, and it's not incumbent on us to say, well, he's gotta do 40 different things to build his house. That's on the property owner. I don't care how much he paid for it, I don't care how much he has to do to get it ready to build. If he's willing to tackle that challenge to dig 5, 6 feet deep to get a foundation, 5, 6 feet deep to do whatever, that's on him. Our discussion is, is it a detriment to the area? Would it change the character of the area to go from 1 house to 2 homes? I'll be the first to say that's not a density change. But there are avenues and ways for us to satisfy the neighbors as well as the applicant. Whether that satisfies the appetite of this council, that's beyond me, but I just want to publicly express ways that we can accommodate the applicant and the community by putting in conditions that it can't be subdivided beyond 2 homes. We've done that. We've done it on numerous occasions. So I don't want this council to deny anybody based on misinformation. So I just wanted to share that with the public and dispel the fact that this is a spot zoning issue.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I would just want to bring up, I'm usually not in support of putting deed restrictions on properties. I hate this doing special occasions for every different thing that pops up. This one in particular, I wouldn't be against it. Nothing, the community coming out really does, affect it. If they're not in favor of it, which usually the community isn't in favor of a lot of things that involve any building of anything, it does make a difference of what the community wants. Like Councilman Roddy said, if it cost him $1 million to build a 1,000-square-foot house, that's really not, in my opinion, not council's concern. If he has other issues with it, with the building, with, that's on him. The septic system, that's on him to figure out. But I don't know, I'm torn on this one. I don't think it would hurt a single thing. I mean, all the arguments against subdividing the property pretty much killed any argument that they were going to be able to build more houses than that. I mean, if you can't get 2 houses on there, you're surely not going to get 5 or 6 on it. And just the additional cost of trying to build a road on there to do a subdivision. I do understand the concerns of once it's rezoned, just because somebody said that they were going to do it, doesn't stop it. And I agree that that is a concern. I thought about that when y'all were mentioning what this was. But, I just hate to shut this down when it really would be low density and assist in the area and probably wouldn't harm anything. I mean, it's, nobody wants to see the farm next door get built on. They don't even want to see one house be built there. But, whether it's 3 houses or a farmer comes in and buys 5 acres and builds 5 barns, 2 houses, neighborhood, trailer or something else, you still end up with the same amount of impervious area, runoff, and everything else. Anyway, just rambling.
Any other discussion?
Yeah. Well, I've been in York County all my life, and from youth, between that and between coon hunting and everything else, and ain't nobody in here that's probably trampled through soil from Hickory Grove, Smyrna, the blackjacks everywhere. And I can tell you the results of blackjack soil and everything else. And working on heavy equipment and going down there and watching them do the repair on those septic systems when they fail, because most time, even after putting those engineered systems in, within 3 years they're failing. Or right over on Bridgewater, riding to go work on equipment after watching some recently built houses that were allowed to build that flooded right after they got built. So, no, we're not responsible, but I would hate to be the person that buys one of those houses, because I know the land exactly where they're talking about. And I've rode by there after that whole area is flooded after a rain. And all my life, there's a reason why the blackjacks have never been able to grow nothing but cotton and okra. And when you ride through the blackjacks, you'd see a house here, 2 or 3 houses here, and everything else you seen was fields. And that, all my life, that's the way it's been. And that was always considered the farmland. Now, you go to Hickory Grove and Sharon up here, you got houses, but you got hills and gullies too. It was all that some folks could do just to get a garden in certain places. Now you get on over to Andy over there in Clover and all, you had some good flat land, pasture land. Rock Hill over here, they had some good flat pasture land, red dirt, everything. There's a lot of different, but even blackjack runs in certain areas on up into Rock Hill. But that blackjack soil, get a fertilizer truck or a bulldozer stuck in. You work for days to get it out. But I'm not in support of it. I know what the ground's like, but.
Any other discussion?
I do. Well, first of all, I'm a big proponent of abiding by rules, and one of the community spoke about that he abided by the rules. He felt like he needed to do that. So I think, kind of what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But we have a statement here in the executive summary that the request is to subdivide the parcel into 3 lots to build 3 new homes. So I'm confused why the gentleman got up and said, he swears that he's only going to build two homes. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, when you do rezone, you're open to anything. You can put your hand on the Bible, you can do whatever you want to do. But if he wants to build 3 homes and get up and said he's only going to build 2 homes, he can build 5 homes. So there you go.
Any other discussion?
Yes. Karen, can you pull up the Exhibit B right quick, please? And while you're doing that, I'm trying to be really sensitive to what I say, because many of you have called me, you've emailed me, you texted me, you're friends of mine, you're acquaintances of mine. So this is a really sensitive issue. Somewhat of what's already been said, though, the sensitivities of this issue is not what council's here to deliberate on, unfortunately, even though we're listening, right? We'd love to have solutions to blackjack, but we don't have solutions to that necessarily. If you'll go to the 2035 Exhibit B first. So, go back if you don't mind. Yep, Exhibit B, 2035. There we go. Thank you. So, here's the thing. I feel like my job on council is to be consistent with my votes. So if I'm going to be consistent with my votes, I got to use the same logic each time I vote. So if I apply that logic tonight, what I do is I look at this map here of 2035, and I look on the north end of this map, and I see light green. And that light green, I'm pretty sure, is RUD. Now, what's happened is, since 2022, I believe it was when council created, I wasn't on council then, but they created the 2035 map. I think what's happened is, these individuals that own this land did not have their land in a conservation easement. They didn't have deed restrictions on their land. They just had it available to sell. Now, whether they sold it or their children inherited the property and they sold it to someone else, and they came to council, because the only way you can change a zoning is to come to council, and we go through 3 readings like we're doing tonight, unless this is voted down tonight. It goes through 3 readings. So now if you'll go to Exhibit A, all that dark green has gone to light green, which tells me that council voted 3 times to approve property getting rezoned from AGC to RUD. And the reason they did that was because the AGC property was touching RUD, which is the same logic we've used, or I can't speak for the council. It's the same logic I've used when I voted on this consistently, I'm pretty sure every time since I've joined council. If it's touching another designation of zoning, then I have voted for it. And now, why would I vote for it? Quite honestly, I believe in the property rights of individuals. One day, some of you that own a lot of acreages of land that you didn't put in a conservation easement, and you didn't put deed restrictions on your property, your children get it, and they're going to sell it for more an acre if they choose to. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying it's their right. It's your right to put a restriction on it now or to do something else with it. If you don't do that, they have the right to do what they want to with it. Keep it as farmland or develop it. So, again, I've got friends that have called me opposing this, and I've let them know. I mean, I've got to support. I can't support the declination. I have to support it because I've got to be consistent with how I voted on every other issue. Otherwise, look at all the rest of the land here. What happens when all these people come and ask to have their property rezoned to RUD, the AGCs? I mean, if you're consistent, you have to approve it because it touches RUD. I don't see how you can decline it. We didn't decline all these up here on the top.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, no. Everybody's had a chance to speak. We've been here long enough. I do not support rezoning this parcel. I do typically try to find ways to compromise. And I think that in this case, trying to be consistent, this map's still up. This light green, there's a lot of confusion. This light green is not RUD. The majority of that property is AGC, completely surrounded. There is one sliver of property that was RUD that's a remnant of that. And so that's just a misnomer. That's not accurate. I do think that council has a responsibility to follow our comprehensive plan. If there is a reason, this is in the AGC in the preservation area, and I think that all of the decisions, the council gets up here and we say we need to stick to the plan. We're going to have another comprehensive review next year. If there needs to be a change and the community says, hey, we want to push this line out or we want to push this line in, that's the time to do that, is to make that decision then, not when there's a splitting of these parcels. Also, another reason to be consistent, I don't know if folks remember, but in order for us to be consistent, Ms. Rosa Mobley Freeman herself came here and requested a rezoning, and we denied that rezoning for a lesser amount of acreage. To me, it would be wrong to not approve that and to approve this, especially when they are longtime landholders and have owned that parcel. Hopefully the family exemption would allow that. The decisions that we make on RFATs that deal with roads, that deal with infrastructure, it all is dependent upon these categorizations. So once you rezone one parcel to RUD, you are saying, because I'm hearing that logic happen from council, even though that there's a misunderstanding very clearly up here, all of those parcels are AGC, surrounded, it is in a sea of AGC. If the logic we're going to then say is, hey, when you rezone something to RUD, everything around it or that touches it needs to go to RUD, then you create a problem. You create a snowball effect. I think the appropriate way to go about this is to go into change the comprehensive plan, If there's needs to be, folks that are in this room need to remember and be active to go speak at the comprehensive plan, whether you're the builder or whether you're the community, to take an interest in that, to be intentional about that. I do think that it's important for council to hold the line on this and to be consistent. And so I think that they're.
Can we ask a clarification on that, on the RUD, because we heard differently?
I think we've all had enough discussion on this.
If staff, if this map, is it correct? Does it accurately reflect agriculture and rural development based on the shades? Because that seems to be the discrepancy.
No, the current parcels are AGC zoned. Rural development is the question as to, they are not zoned RUD.
With rural development.
It is the comprehensive plan that says we support rural development, and if you guys will remember, when we've had discussions about this, staff took that to mean they think that rural development means RUD, but even that is not zoned RUD.
And I think that some of the confusion is there's two different maps in the presentation, and I think maybe we can clarify that real quick if there's that question by council.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
No, no more.
Yes,
We've all
sir.
talked enough.
So there is the two maps. So this map here, this is the future land use map. This is the aspirational map. So I know the colors are very similar and the terminology is very similar, but this is the aspirational, this is the planning, this is the guidance. So the dark green here is the agricultural future land use designation. The mint color is the rural residential land use designation. And then we go back, and you can see they're not one for one. They're not in a perfect alignment here. They're kind of generally in the same vicinity, but they're not one for one with the parcel lines. This map is the official zoning map of York County. So this is the legally binding map. So the mint green on this map is rural development RUD zoning. And the darker green color is AGC, the Agricultural Conservation Zoning District. So hopefully that clarifies the difference between the two maps.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I think we've all had enough discussion on this, and we've had a lot of public input. I think it's time for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Opposed.
I didn't get your vote.
What?
What'd you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-2 for denial. We move now to, we do not have any old business. We move now to new business. Council to suspend the rules in order to adopt without referral to a committee the resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement by, between, and among the South Carolina Transportation Infrastructure Bank, the South Carolina Department of Transportation, and York County entitled Term Sheet for York County Projects Exit 82 and 90, authorizing its execution and providing for such further actions as necessary to perfect the county's obligations thereunder and as are related to thereto.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? I think this is this was put on new business instead of in consent, simply to reflect to the community that this has been a project that has been worked on for years, and this will allow for us to move forward with Exit 82 with the compromises and with council stepping up and working with SIB and DOT. I want to thank our county manager for helping with this process. It also there are provisions in place for us to continue to start planning for Exit 90, but it helps us to get moving on that Exit 82. Do we have any do you want to comment?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to piggyback real quick off your comments. I do want to thank staff and council members in regards to working through this. This was a long fought battle in order to get this lined up, but we have an opportunity now to get these exits completed, long overdue, and the game plan is in place. So again, kudos to county manager, to Krista, your hard work, and the rest of the team. So thank you. Excellent.
Yes, I appreciate that, and I just want to echo, I really appreciate the chair's commitment. You put a lot of work into navigating this. I think this shows the power of partnerships. We had great collaboration from the governor's office, from the SCDOT, from the chairman of the SIB, and for our state delegation. I do think it's important to thank Senator Michael Johnson as well. There was a lot of people that worked hard on this, and it took a number of months, even years, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. I'm thankful for our engineering team and Patrick Hamilton, who has helped throughout. And this was something that Michael Moore, a previous assistant county manager, worked hard on as well, and I'm glad that we've been able to continue his work to bring this to fruition. So we're excited to finalize this and continue the work on these 2 exits, and we're going to be a part of the work that needs to happen there. So with that, just want to say thank you.
Thank you, sir. Here, seeing nobody raising their hand to speak, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Second item of new business is council to authorize contract negotiations regarding RFQ 3019 for professional architectural and engineering design services for the expansion construction of York County's Animal Services Facility. And I understand that there is a presentation before council takes action.
Yes, so Jim Britton is here to provide a presentation. One of the things that we heard loud and clear from y'all at a workshop that we had when we last talked about capital projects was you wanted to better understand the timeline of the Animal Services Facility project. Jim Britton is helping to manage this project for us. And so we thought it would be best for you to hear from him, for us to be able to answer some questions, especially since we're asking you to approve a design contract. So Kevin Madden, our Assistant County Manager, is running point on this project as well, and didn't know if you wanted to say anything before Jim starts, Kevin.
I'll reiterate what we talked about at the Public Works Committee meeting. I know there's been a lot of discussion about this project's budget. We are committed to driving that cost in as low as we can. And I also want to thank Jim. You'll see a nice schedule in here. We have a schedule. We're going to approach this professionally and aggressively to make sure we get the best deal for the county. That'll turn to Jim.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of council, good evening. As we've discussed, the main item that we're going to talk about is the reason why I'm up here is to get approval for moving forward with the architectural services. But I thought take the opportunity to present a brief update and kind of slice where we are in the project. I'm going to talk about the project parameters, go backwards a little bit, talk about timeline and schedule, talk about budget, and kind of more importantly, talk about more current market conditions, and then finally, kind of what next steps should you approve moving forward. So I've got a brief PowerPoint. So these are our 2 main parameters. That's either to renovate and expand the existing facility or develop a new facility on a site that's currently owned by the the county. Our intentions are to do due diligence on both of them, weigh the pros and cons, and then bring a recommendation to council on how to move forward. We plan this to be approximately 30,000 square feet. So those are kind of our guideline. Timeline, we've already issued the RFQ for architectural services. That was done on October 17th. November 12th, they were due, and we had fantastic participation. We had 13 architectural firms. I've been doing this for 30-something years now, and this is for a project this size. I've never seen that many submittals from an architectural firm. And I'll talk about some of the items that are causing those pressures. I met with the staff rather, and they reviewed. I was not part of the review process, but they reviewed the 13 submittals, scored them, and developed a short list of 4. What we would like to do is get approval to move forward in interviewing them and subsequently negotiating contracts. Our timetable, this is a kind of a brief management schedule. It's updated as of today, and should we move forward with this, and this timeline is set up on a greenfield project. It would be the more aggressive one, the one that would take the most time. We feel like we could be in this in early 2028. Some of the development, the pressures and budget items. less than 20 million. We've heard several budget numbers, but our goal is to design what is needed. Current conditions, I believe, will be significantly less than that. The market conditions have been, most everyone knows, very volatile since 2020. But we have, and to the point where, as of about 8 months ago, they were up about 48%. That's a significant amount of money, construction costs. But over the since then, they certainly have improved. There's an item we track, a matrix called Architectural Billings Index. It really is kind of a health of the construction market. Right now, we're at a 45.3. Anything above 50 is a robust design market. Anything below that is declining. We've been in a declining market, and it is forecasting for the next 9 to 12 months. That tells you we're moving into a buyer's market. We've bid 2 projects in the county over the last 6 months. Both of them been more than 10% under budget. So we feel good that we're moving into a market where we'll be able to maximize the monies for this project. And then next steps, should council approve moving forward with architectural negotiations and interviews, we will wrap those up in January and bring to you on February 2nd a recommendation to enter into a contract with the architectural firm. We will begin our due diligence on both facilities and then bring forward a recommendation in March, and then we'll initiate the design for the project in earnest. Questions, I'll be happy to try to answer.
Jim, I want to thank you for the presentation and thank you for the information. This has been a topic of discussion for many, many years, much to the frustration of, I know, many in this room. Definitely appreciate your help getting this moving forward. I can't, if you'll go back 2 slides, I can't let it go. That first number, at that 20 million, that's never been something that council has entertained. 16 million was pushing it, and I wanted to make sure, I don't know where the rest of my council, I feel like that this council has been consistent with what they have said, and I understand we're building a Corners facility for $7 million. I think we ought to be able to build this animal control facility for what council has already said is their upper threshold for this, to save the county taxpayers money. That number is just too much, and I couldn't let it go without commenting once again.
Well, I've run a development budget. I kind of hold back because we don't know everything about the site, but what we call a 5-foot number, that's the building itself, foundations and up. I think we're going to be around $12.5 to $13.5 million. The site, depending on what it is, utilities, acquisitions, I just don't know enough about the site itself. Now, $20 million is, I don't know how to address that. I would say this, if the budget, if we need to be at $16 million, I feel like we can deliver, the county can obtain that project for that budget.
And Jim, let me interrupt, I apologize. Jim, I just want to make sure I understood. That was the number that was in the fiscal year 2026 budget. And so that's why that number was put in there. Jim and I talked.
Yeah, but we kept wondering why that number's in there when the majority of council didn't, and we have other needs with our sheriff's department that you know, that we need to be mindful of.
We added the part in there behind that just as we related it in the Public Works Committee meeting. And Tommy told me the next day that I did good on this because this is a fact. We do expect to be significantly lower, but we're going to build the best shelter we can for the citizens of the county, for the employees that work there and volunteers that work there. We're not trying to build anything to stop euthanizing. We're euthanizing multiple days a week right now. That's not what it's going to be for. I discussed the Public Works Committee, but we wanted to be consistent with what was in the budget. That's why we put that number up there, but that's why we added the stuff behind it as well.
Y'all have been consistent. We've been consistent.
Well,
our numbers are different. Can you tell me, with this schedule that you've put out, when do you think we're going to actually be seeing bids?
I'm not sure I'll be able to read it from here, but we're looking at bid dates.
All right.
around, yes, November. And I'm being.
November 26th.
That's, certainly could be done quicker. I think the things I've heard from the very beginning is the utilitarian building. We're not building a Taj Mahal. Metal, potentially pre-engineered structure, masonry walls. I don't think any building should be vanilla, but it would be a very utilitarian building to start. And I think that's one of the principles of what
I think the more council has options and the more that, I just wanted you to understand, at least my understanding where council is, clearly there needs to be improvement. And I think that we do have budgets we have to work with, though. And I wanted to make sure that I made that point.
Yeah, and again, I think we're all up here saying the same thing, right? And Jim, I do like the 12.5 million you mentioned, so let's continue to shoot lower then.
And I do want to say, there's a difference between construction budget and development budget. So the construction, the 5-foot number, I think that's kind of 12.5 to 13. The site part is tricky, because we just don't know what we don't know at this point on the site.
We appreciate your hard work. Thanks, Jim.
Well, I want to go on the record to say, in our Public Works Committee meeting, we talked about 16 being the target. We didn't say 20 was the target. I know we're going to come in under 20, but I don't want to, and I hate you even said 12.5, because you're going to have some people that's going, they're going, if you come in at 13, you're going to get chewed out.
Yeah. Construction number.
Yeah.
So we also always get those confused. In this,
but I've talked to Kevin recently, I've talked to Jim recently. The construction area has changed and shifted in the last several months, so we do look to see some good bid numbers come in when we do get it out to bid. I no way, shape, form, or fashion, nobody on this council, even though the 20 was up there, that's kind of what was already slated for, but we couldn't stomach that number, so that's why we got that target number of 16, so anything plus or minus $50, we can stomach 1650.
16.
But, obviously, we can only get what, if we're willing to spend 15, we can only get what 15 can get. If we're only willing to spend 12.5, that's all we can get. So whatever that number that we can stomach, that's all we're going to be able to get for it. And like I said, we're not trying to build something to stop this procedure, start this. We want something that's going to take care of our needs and be a little better for our employees, a better work environment for our employees. So that's the goal.
I think the one thing council can agree on is that what's driving the cost of the 30,000 square foot facility is what we really need to focus on. What's driving the need for 30,000 square feet? My question, though, is what's the price per square foot for the interior of the building? Because that was a pretty significant cost.
Well, the cage, so again, going back to utilitarian
vet clinic, everything.
Then you've got the cages and the access and the guillotine doors. Those are quite pricey. And
Right.
so the fit and finish is and it's a unique structure. You don't run across these very often.
Do you have an
So,
estimated number per square foot?
I'd have to boil it down to, if you put me on the spot, I can come back with a number, but I do not have that.
I'd just be curious to know, because that is a significant expense, is based on what I was told, I don't know, a year or two ago. The inside of the building, a metal building is pretty easy to build, but the interior of that building is kind of expensive.
Well, epoxy flooring and the way they house and contain the animals are
Right.
certainly different than,
I'd like to know that number.
we can chase it down.
Okay.
If there are no other questions, do we have a motion to approve to get this process started?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have item number 8 that we pulled out of the consent agenda, which is our final action item. Council to consider first reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 70 by adding new Section 70.11 of the York County Code of Ordinances as it relates to the regulation of golf carts operating on and within the county public roadways within the Baxter Village Traditional Neighborhood District, and to provide for other matters related thereto. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve an amendment to strike within the Baxter Village Traditional Neighborhood District.
Do you want to add anything about stop signs instead of stop lights? Nope, okay.
Do we have a second? Motion fails for lack of a second. Do we have a new motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
So.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, the reason I wanted to strike that portion is this whole thing of writing ordinances for specific areas throughout the entire county. Every part of the county gets its own little special rules, and this little special area over here, and this little special area over here. All I wanted to do was strike that part, apply this thing to the whole county. I asked for that during the Planning and Zoning Committee. They said, bring it like it is to this committee or to the council. You know, what we do up here sometimes is, well, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But why are we putting special rules over here just for Baxter? Why can't the rest of the county have these rules? And so that's why I asked for that. And
Good point.
anyway, whatever.
It's a good point.
So, okay. So this one here, again, I think that when you look at Baxter, and when they set up Baxter, there is a overlay component to Baxter in regards to that location. It made sense for them to do something like this because of the structure and currently design, how they're designed and set up from within our ordinances. Now, what we did is that we actually mirrored what TGK did for a policy, and we then opened it up for this, in essence, overlay from within the Baxter Village facility or area. So that's kind of how we generated. Now, I think once this, you know, again, hopefully we'll go through 3 motions and then get this passed for them, because I think this is a great opportunity. I think in the future, I don't mind having a discussion in regards to what you had proposed. I think we just need to, again, take this for what it is, and then we can look at other options possibly down the road. So that'd be my thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we want to make sure in committees that when something's assigned, we deal with what's assigned first. We're always open to study a broader topic, and if council wants to assign a broader topic related to golf carts, we're happy to look at that. I think in terms of this, the reason why this specific area was assigned is there was a state law that was changed, and so that new law, I think it was May of 25, applied to the whole county. And so all of a sudden, our municipalities were weighing for themselves how to handle that. TGK was the one municipality that decided to come up with their own stipulations on top of that state law. Fort Mill decided not to. They thought about it. And so this neighborhood abuts to TGK. And I think that's why this neighborhood was interested in that. And it's very similar to the TGK neighborhoods that abut. So that, I think, is really where this came from, is due to a change in state law. That state law did apply to the whole county, and municipalities were given the option to adjust on top of that. This was brought to our attention. That's why that we dealt with this specific area. So I just wanted to give context to everybody out there watching.
Any other discussion? Mr. Roddy?
Yeah, when I first saw this on the agenda, one of the first things I thought about, of course, I live in Rock Hill, one of the first things I thought about was there was an accident in Rock Hill. A young lady got killed on a golf cart.
Yeah.
And I would hate to kind of open it up too big, too wide, too fast, and put somebody in danger, because, you know, this whole county is not a golfing community. There's pockets of where golfing is relevant and prevalent to people going to get out and move around, but I do not want to see somebody leaving Baxter Village, taking a golf cart over to Captain Steve's. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see somebody taking a golf cart from Baxter Village down to the Taco Bell. You know, we have to keep it to a confined area because we have to think about people's safety. I don't want just 14, 15, 13-year-olds jumping out, going to get on a golf cart, wanting to go 2-3 neighborhoods over to play with friends. I don't want that on my conscience to vote for something and somebody's kid putting people in danger. I wish we can say that you got to have a driver's license to operate a golf cart.
It does.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. you can tell I'm not in the golf cart community, because I don't know all the rules with it, but at least you have some kind of accountability, responsibility, and show that you've passed some kind of driving test to be able to get out on the road for golf carts. But I don't want to see golf carts in Walmart parking lot.
Any other discussion?
I don't want to see golf carts on Regent Parkway, and I know the sheriff doesn't want to see them either. We have enough issues with speeding in cars, but we also have a lot of teenagers that just, their parents don't care. Whatever they want to do, they let them do it. Because it was a golf cart community. It was a golf course. And so they still want it to be a golf course. We have a real issue over there.
Point of clarification is, can y'all say that the golf carts are not allowed on roads over 35 miles an hour, correct? Yes.
Well,
Golf carts can go 35 miles an hour now.
Okay, I'm going to make a point of contention. Regent Parkway has areas that are 25 miles an hour. Sheriff, do you know of a great
Well, the
number
sheriff,
of people?
let me
that
just
go
say, hang on. We
25
don't
miles an
have,
hour on Regent Parkway? No.
We don't-
They're
that's-
going 70. I don't care what the speed limit is. If you say 35, it does not matter. It does not matter.
Well, then we have another issue.
Well, my
any
whole,
other discussion?
no, my whole deal is, I
No,
don't
as you
even
keep
like the
talking.
golf cart idea, the bicycle idea. It's hard enough for us to even go down the road on our tractor without getting run over. I don't know who would want to get on one.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
No.
Any opposed?
No.
We have that on record, Mr.
Whatever.
Litton.
Let the record know.
Let's get back to
Y'all let me let Tommy out.
I don't think he minds. Committee and other reports, Finance and Operations Committee meeting, Chairman Tom Audette.
All right. December 15th, we had our F&O meeting. Present was Councilman Rodney and Councilman Atkins. And through that meeting, we approved several different committee seats. First of all, we approved the 2 at-large seats for the Rock Hill York County Convention Visitor Bureau, and that would be George Tilson and Rob Mason. The next we approved for the Planning Committee, and that would be for District 2, and that's John Segura. Next, we approved Catawba Regional Workforce Investment Board, and that was approved for a second term from Michael Peaks. Next, we also approved a seat for the Catawba Workforce Investment Board, also for Sandra Goodman. And then lastly, we appointed Ashley Hamilton also to a second term on that board. Lastly, we did approve allocations of funds for District 6 for the amount of $5,000 to York County Regional Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Economic Development Committee meeting, Chairman Watts Huckabee.
Thank you. Yes, we met on December 16th, and there were 4 items on our agenda that we covered. The first one was a discussion regarding the Economic Development Board and their focus. And if you guys want a copy of what was presented, Karen can email it to you. This is it right here. Mainly what we talked about with the board, this is the new creation of this board. I think it's been dormant since 2019, I believe, or maybe 20. So anyway, 7 members of the board, each represented from each council member's district. And the focus of the board will be to attract higher wage projects into York County, community vision and investment, small business support, workforce development, and enhancing mobility, quality of life. The board's 4 main priorities will be Project Trail Mix, Next Crop York, Digital Main Street, and I-77 South Corridor Plan. Mitch has already met with, I think by now, he's met with the last member of the board. There was one he was meeting with after January 1st, so I think they've already met. So anyway, really applaud Mitch for getting out there and meeting with them individually and talking about this new responsibility and what their action items are going to be. So, the second item we discussed is over in Clover. There's a 16-acre parcel of land. Some of you have probably seen it. It was the old American Thread building. It's 216,000 square feet. It's a historic building. There's a third building, another building on the property that's 3 stories. They're looking to renovate those buildings through a bill called the Bailey Bill. This is basically where you take the tax revenue on the building up to 20 years. You can abate the taxes for up to 20 years as long as you invest 20% of the value of the property back into the project. Doesn't have to be 20 years. It could be 10, it could be 15, but this is something that ED committee is going to talk about further and come back to council. Zach Lester, who's the town administrator for Clover, came to the meeting as well to present his support for the project. And there are actually 3 municipalities in York County, Clover, York, and Fort Mill, that have taken advantage of the Bailey Bill. So this is something that's already been done here in York County. It's a creative way to restore properties, and that is a pretty magnificent building. And when it's finished, it's going to be something for the town of Clover, that's for sure. Next item on our agenda was the Newport Small Area Corridor Plan, the tentative scope. So Tom Couch actually led the conversation on this particular project. Really appreciative of everything that he's done thus far. As you know, that area of the county is seeing rapid growth. There's a lot of pressure on that corridor. All of us probably came up, most of us came up 161 tonight, and I'm sure you ran into the same traffic I ran into. It's a major issue. It's unfortunate that we didn't get ahead of this 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, but there are safety concerns. There's congestion along 161 and 274 that needs to be addressed, and through this action, we feel like we can do that. There's a need to coordinate land uses and infrastructure decisions so we can be really intentional about what this area looks like from a development perspective. And then directly, this is part of the strategic plan and the 2035 comprehensive plan too. So this work will take 10 or 12 months. They're going to come back to our committee. I don't think we're meeting again until February, but they'll come back to our committee meeting then and give us another update on where they are, and then we'll bring this to council for consideration. Last is we went into executive session to talk about a very impactful project that could be coming to York County called Project Palmetto Rock, and I can't say anything more on that, but has a ton of potential for internships with Winthrop, Clinton, York Technical College, the high schools. So it's a pretty neat project if we're able to bring it to Rock Hill at the Palmetto Research Park. And that concludes our report from the Economic Development Committee. Councilman Audette and Councilwoman Cox were in attendance for the meeting.
Thank you, sir. We do not have any citizen concerns tonight. Do we have any council member new knowledge in the comments before executive session?
Absolutely, I do. I just want to say, how about them Carolina Panthers? Congratulations to the Panthers. It's been a long, drawn-out season. Won the NFC South, head to the playoffs. So y'all make sure y'all tune in and root for the Panthers. I don't care if you root for Pittsburgh or whoever your other favorite team is, but make sure you root for the home team because we're part of that team, whether we like them or not. So go Panthers.
Okay. So again, tonight, as we've had in many council meetings, we've had a lot of information continue to be presented to us about SILFAB. We appreciate what the community is doing and what they're presenting. I thought tonight was very eye-opening, I think, especially when we started talking about or getting presented to about the USC study. You know, the description and the content of it was I thought, very alarming, and the concern about the credibility and foreseeable issue that could impact the kids from this, I think is alarming, and I think that as a council and I think as a staff and our legal, I would request that at least our staff in legal look into this and identify what we can do for next steps. The other concern I had was around the AG ruling and the ability for us to hold back or pull back permits. I think that I would request, again, staff and our legal team to review that and understand, you know, how we can move forward to manage this and police this as per noted from AG. So that would be my request. Thank you.
Okay, as a follow-up to Tom, I have the letter that was requested by Jackie, our representative, the Honorable Jackie Tarabaugh, to the AG and asking about whether the council could revoke or stay permits. And there was quite an extensive research done by his office with if you look at next to the last page, there is a statement at the very bottom. It says, thus, based upon our research, our Supreme Court, as well as other courts, have generally required that there be a close correlation with the promotion of health and safety in revocation of permits. So, in essence, his office was saying that if the study, which USC was in the midst of their study on the chemicals, if that came out to where it would be detrimental to the health of the community and to the students, that we could revoke permits. And in light of this, I would like to ask that Karen is going to give us information, I guess, when we get to executive session on what was presented. And I think there's going to be other documents in this packet that we will need to look at and take this into serious consideration to hold and stay any future permits until a judge has made a ruling on the BZA decision, which, as I understand, there was the attorney for the BZA that the county retained when he made a presentation, his arguments to the judge about the week before Christmas, stated that the BZA decision was concerning CILFAB. That's all I got to say.
Do we have any other topics before we go into executive session? Anyone else?
Oh, the only thing what I was wanting to say a little bit ago when we were talking about the RUD and the AGC. When zoning went in place in '87, they were given options. A lot of the farms and the ag land was put in RUD and ag. And there's a lot of farms in York County, including in the Blackjacks, that were put in RUD at the time. So there are RUD parcels of land in ag use all across the county that are already in RUD, and they didn't get rezoned to that. They were automatically put in that because the people had the option to choose what they wanted to be in automatically. Matter of fact, our farms were one of them.
All right. Do we have a motion for
That's what
executive session?
One other item real quickly. So this was not on our agenda for economic development, but I brought up, after we went through with Costco, I thought it made sense for county staff, county council to consider putting together a spreadsheet of all the incentives we have out there. So any incentives economic development has put together over the years, we've got a list of these incentives so that the school districts, the municipalities, and the counties, we're getting ready to go into our budget season. Wouldn't it be good to know what incentive packages may sunset? And so we begin to get more revenue off of some incentive we put together. So anyway, I've brought that up out of committee. And the second thing is, I didn't bring this up out of committee, but I do feel like it's important to mention, and that is that obviously we're getting ready to go into budget season. All of us are tax adverse, but there are responsibilities that we have to consider for the county. And so there's really two ways to do it. Either you bring in enough economic development business to offset the need for a tax increase, or you have a tax increase and you bring in economic development projects. So it seems to me that it might be a good idea for us to take a look at economic development and begin to set a goal for how much economic development business we're looking to bring into the county per year. And maybe we could get to a point, some point in the future, where the revenue generated from those economic development projects helps drive our budget instead of tax increases. That's it. Or maybe less than tax increases.
Executive session, all right. We do have two motions for executive session: receipt of legal advice, legal matters, litigation update, and secondary, we have receipt of legal advice, consideration to mediate settlement agreement, project number 1149-004, project US 21/SC51, track 55.
Do we have a second?
Yep, second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will go into executive session. Meeting for the ECHO. We are out of executive session. No action was taken. Do we have any motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.